Welcome to Lost Relation Chronicles. I got off work 3 hours early that day, a rare gift of free time handed down by my boss after a slow afternoon go home. Enjoy the time off, he had said with a grin, and I'd smiled, thinking how nice it would be to surprise Kayla to spend some unexpected time together. Maybe I'd even pick up sushi on the way. Her favorite something nice to shake up our usual routine. The thought made me feel warm inside. I had no idea that by the time I walked through my front door, my entire world be collapsing around me. The first thing that fell off was the door. It wasn't wide open, but it also wasn't fully closed, just slightly ajar. That alone sent a ripple of unease through me. Kayla and I were always careful about locking up. Maybe she had stepped out quickly, grabbed the mail, or run a short errand and hadn't noticed the door hadn't clicked shut. It was a small thing, but it felt wrong. I stepped inside, my eyes instinctively scanning the space. Her purse was on the kitchen counter. Her shoes sat neatly by the door. She was home, but where was she? That's when I heard it. A low, breathy laugh. Hers and something else. A voice. A man's voice, deep muffled. Unmistakable. My stomach twisted violently. My heart pounded against my ribs, the sound roaring in my ears. I didn't think I moved. My feet carried me forward past the framed pictures on the hallway wall, smiling faces. Frozen in time, our wedding day, beaming in white and black, sun-kissed vacations, hand in years of memories, moments that once felt unshakable. They blurred together as I walked past, my body moving on autopilot, my mind screaming at me to turn around, to stop, to not see what I already knew was coming. The bedroom door was cracked. Open, a sliver of warm light spilled into the dim hallway, flickering as something shifted inside. My breath caught in my throat. My fingers curled into fists at my sides. I could hear them now, the rustling of sheets, the murmured words, a soft, breathless moan. I pushed the door open, and the world tilted. There she was, Kayla, my Kayla, straddling another man, her bare skin illuminated in the soft glow of the bedside lamp. His hands gripping her hips, pulling her down onto him, their bodies moving together. In perfect, practiced rhythm, our bed, the sheets I had laid in for years, the pillows that smelled like us now. Tangled around someone who wasn't me. It didn't feel real for a brief, fleeting moment. I thought I was dreaming, trapped in some cruel nightmare, that I would wake from any second. My mind scrambled for an explanation. Any explanation other than the one staring me in the face. But reality crashed down like a hammer when Kayla turned her head and saw me standing there. She didn't gasp in shock. She didn't fumble for the sheets or stammer an excuse. No. She smirked, smug, unapologetic, like she had won some unspoken game I hadn't even known we were playing. Then she spoke, her voice breathless, still tinged with laughter, as she leaned closer. Into him, I needed this. You could never satisfy me. The words cut through me like ice. 5 years. 5 years of marriage, of love, of promises whispered in the dark, of stolen kisses in the morning, of lazy Sundays on the couch, of shared dreams about the future we were building together. All of it, every single moment, meant nothing to her. I should have felt something: rage, grief, despair. But I didn't. Instead, something inside me snapped, not in an explosive, violent way, not in a way that led to shouting or tears. No, it was quieter than that, more final, like a steel door slamming shut inside me, locking away every feeling I had ever held for her. And so instead of breaking down, instead of demanding an answer, she wouldn't give. Instead of giving her the satisfaction of seeing me hurt, I did something that neither of them expected. I smiled. Kiss, smirk wavered, just for a second. A tiny flicker of uncertainty crossed her face, like she hadn't anticipated this reaction, like she had been expecting me to crumble, to yell, to beg the man beneath her. Shifted uncomfortably, suddenly hyper-aware of the confrontation he had found himself in. I didn't even acknowledge him. He wasn't worth it. Slowly, deliberately, I reached into my pocket, pulled out my keyring, and slid my house key free without a word. I tossed it onto the nightstand where it landed with a sharp metallic clink. "You can keep the bed," I said evenly. "I won't be needing it for the first time." Kayla's confidence wavered. I saw it in her eyes, the way she studied me, searching for something, anger, sadness, anything to show that I still cared, but there was nothing left to find. I turned and walked away. No yelling, no insults, no desperate pleas for an explanation that wouldn't matter. I walked down the hallway past the wedding photos that once symbolized the happiest day of my life, past the framed pictures of vacations and holidays, of a life I had poured my heart into, a life that in a single moment had crumbled into dust. And yet as I reached the door, as I stepped outside into the cool night air, I felt something I hadn't expected: relief, because for the first time I saw Kayla for who she truly was. The woman I thought I knew. Kayla had no idea. She thought she had won? She thought she had broken me. What she didn't realize, tangled up with her little boy toy in the bed we used to share, was that I wasn't just walking away, I was setting the stage for her downfall. I drove aimlessly at first, my hands gripping the wheel, my mind racing. The betrayal still burned, but beneath the initial sting, something else had taken root, a cold, calculated resolve. If she wanted to treat me like a fool, she was about to find out just how wrong she was. First, I made sure she couldn't touch a cent of my money. I pulled into a diner parked in the back corner where the streetlights barely reached and pulled out my laptop. The glow of the screen lit up the empty passenger seat as I got to work. Step 1: finances. We had one joint account, mostly used for bills and household expenses. My real savings, my investments, my emergency funds. Those had always been in my name alone. Still, I wasn't taking any chances with a few C. I transferred exactly half of the jointed account into my personal savings, no more, no less, just enough to ensure she couldn't claim I had stolen from her. Then I changed every single password: banking, credit cards, investment accounts, everything. Next, I checked our house title. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a second before I pulled up the records. There. It was my name only. My name when we bought the house. Kayla had been between jobs. I was the one who handled the mortgage at the time. I hadn't thought twice about it, just a legal technicality. I had figured now it was the best damn decision I had ever made. Kayla had zero claim to the property. A slow, bitter smile crept across my face. She wasn't just losing me, she was losing everything by the time the sun was creeping over the horizon. I was sitting in a divorce lawyer's office, a steaming cup of coffee in my hands. The guy across from me looked sharp, early 40s, well-dressed, the kind of attorney who thrived on high-stakes breakups. He leaned back in his chair, studying me like a chess player sizing up his opponent. So he said, steepling his fingers, "Tell me everything I did." I told him about coming home early, about the door being ajar, about the laughter, the whispers, the way my stomach had dropped before I even saw them. I told him about standing in the doorway watching Kayla straddling another man in our bed. I told him what she said. His eyebrows shot up. She actually said that word for word. He let out a low whistle. "Damn, that's cold." I shrugged. "She thinks she won." His lips twitched, Ed, into a smirk. "Well, let's make sure she realizes she didn't. We went over everything. Our assets, the house, the bank accounts." Then he started drafting the divorce papers, Betrayal Infidelity. I pulled out my phone and placed it on the desk between us. I have all the supporting evidence. Kayla wasn't just going to lose me. She was going to lose everything, since the house was in my name alone. She had no legal claim to it, no spousal support, no financial safety net. She was about to find out exactly what it meant to gamble on the wrong man. But I wasn't ready to serve her the papers just yet. The lawyer frowned slightly, flipping through the draft. "You got everything lined up. Why wait?" I leaned forward, my voice steady, because I want her to think she's winning. I want her to feel comfortable, secure. I want her to dig herself in so deep that when the papers hit, she has no way out. A slow grin spread across his face. Now that is a man with a plan for the next few weeks. I went completely silent, I didn't text, didn't call, didn't acknowledge her existence. And Kayla, she didn't try to me either. At first, that pissed me off, not because I wanted her back. God, no, but because it confirmed what I had already suspected. I meant nothing to her. 5 years together, vows exchanged, a home built, and she didn't even check in to see how I was. But then I realized something she thought she had won. She probably told herself I left because I was too much of a coward to fight. That I was off licking my wounds while she played house with her new boy toy perfect. I wanted her to feel safe, to think she had successfully replaced me without consequence. So I waited, and while I waited, I worked. I gathered everything: bank statements, showing where she had spent money on their little rendezvous hotel charges, fancy dinners, even a weekend getaway. I hadn't been aware of text logs, not from her phone, but from our shared cell provider account. People forget that carriers store metadata, call durations, text timestamps, even certain message details if they're sent through SMS. And Kayla, she was careless. Then came the final piece. The nail in the coffin photos. I had hired a private investigator the day after I walked out. Not because I needed more proof. What I had seen with my own eyes was damning enough, but because I wanted leverage, the kind that could end any argument before it started. And the investigator delivered high-resolution pictures of Kayla with him holding hands, kissing, laughing like she had no care in the world, even one of them checking into a hotel together, clear as day. When the time came, I wasn't just going to divorce her, I was going to completely destroy her. Then 3 weeks after I walked out, I got my final confirmation that Kayla was digging her own grave. My phone buzzed, a text from Sarah, a mutual friend of ours. Hey, she wrote, I don't know if you want to hear this, but Kayla's been telling people you just left, that you had some kind of breakdown and disappeared. I stared at the message. I wasn't surprised, but still, it was a hell of a thing to hear. She wasn't just lying. She was rewriting history. She wanted to play the victim to make people think I had walked away because I couldn't handle a real relationship. That was the final push I needed. The next morning I called my lawyer. It's time, I said simply. He chuckled. Let him bury her. I didn't need to destroy Kayla. She was about to do that herself for weeks. She had been living in her fantasy world, playing house with her new boy toy, telling herself she had upgraded. She had rewritten the story so that she was the victim, painting me as the emotionally unstable husband who just left. That was fine, because now she was about to wake up to reality. It started with a trip to the grocery store. I imagine it clearly: Kayla, dressed in her usual effortless style, tossing overpriced organic nonsense into the cart without a second thought, the kind of stuff she used to grab when I was the one swiping the card, except this time when she got to the register and inserted her debit card. Declined. She frowned, trying again. Declined, her brows knit together. As she reached for her credit card, declined. Then her phone buzzed, a notification from the bank alert. Your joint account balance is now $382. I would have paid good money to see the look on her face. Her stomach probably dropped, her heart pounded. As she stared at the screen, trying to process what had just happened, the account had money in it. 2 days ago, I was supposed to be off somewhere licking my wounds. But no, I had taken my half, the part that was legally mine, and left her defend for herself. Now she was broke. I could picture the panic setting in Kayla, fumbling for her phone, her fingers trembling as she sent me a text message failed to send. She tried again. Same result. She called straight to voicemail. She emailed. No response. And that was when she realized she wasn't just financially cut off, she was completely alone with nowhere else to turn. She went to the only person, left her affair partner. I don't know exactly how the conversation went, but I like to imagine it. Kayla storming into his apartment, her voice frantic, maybe a little defensive. Babe, you won't believe what Albert did, she would say, using that breathless drama tone of hers. He drained our account. He froze the credit card. He's ignoring me. Maybe. For a second, she thought he'd step up, that he'd cup her face in his hands, pull her close, and say, Don't worry, I got you, baby. Except he didn't, because here's the thing about men like him. They don't stick around when things get hard. Kayla wasn't. a catch anymore. She wasn't some forbidden prize he was sneaking around with behind my back. Now she was just baggage within days. Her new man was gone. I like to imagine the moment she realized he wasn't coming back. Maybe she sent a text. Something. Casual at first. Hey, wanna grab dinner? No response. She waited an hour. Everything okay? Still nothing. Then the panic set in. She called straight to voicemail. At first she probably told herself he was just busy, but as the hours turned into a full day and then two, she knew he had moved on. She wasn't a fun little secret anymore. She was a liability. By the time the process server found her, she was already crumbling. She was sitting alone in the coffee shop where she used to brag to her friends about how much better her life was without me. No friends now, though. Just her and an overpriced latte she probably couldn't even afford anymore. She barely noticed the man approaching her table. Kaya Parker. She blinked up at him. Yes, the folder landed in front of her. You've been served. She stared at it, her hands trembling. The words petition for dissolution of marriage might as well have been written in blood. She flipped through the pages, her eyes scanning frantically grounds for divorce. Infidelity, no spousal support, no claim to the house, no access to shared assets. Her breathing grew unsteady. Her little fantasy world had just gone up in flames that night. I got my first voicemail from Kayla in weeks. Albert, we need to talk this. This isn't right. You can't just cut me off like this. We're married. We built a life together. You don't just throw that away. I smiled because, funny enough, that was exactly what she had done a week later. Another voicemail this time. Her voice cracked. Albert, please, I know I messed up. I was stupid. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought I wanted something else, but I was wrong. I miss you. I miss us. Please, just call me back. No. Because Kayla wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry she lost. A few days later, a text from a mutual friend. Kayla's been asking around about where you're living now. Interesting, I wasn't hiding, but I wasn't waiting for her either. And she was about to find out exactly why Kayla thought she could fix this. Or, at least, that's what I gathered from the constant calls, texts, and voicemails she had been leaving for the past 2 weeks. At first she was angry, furious that I had locked her out, taken my half of the money and left her with nothing. Then when she realized her new man had ghosted her, the anger turned to desperation now. Now she was clinging to whatever hope she had left, and she was about to learn that there was nothing left to hold on to. One night my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Kayla. Hey, please don't ignore me. Can we meet just for coffee? No fighting, no drama. I need to see you. I stared at the message. She wasn't demanding anymore. She wasn't blaming me. She was pleading. That was new. I didn't reply. Immediately, I let her sit with the uncertainty. 2 hours later, I sent back one word. Why, her reply came almost instantly. Kayla, I just need closure. Closure. She thought this was her moment. She thought, if she could just see me one more time, say the right words, cry at the right moment, maybe, just maybe, I'd let her back in. That wasn't going to happen. But I agreed. Not because I wanted closure. I had that. The moment I walked away, I wanted to see just how broken and she had become. We met at a small cafe downtown, the kind of place we used to go together back when things were good, the kind of place where we'd sit for hours, talking, laughing, stealing kisses between sips of coffee. That life felt like it belonged to someone else now. When I walked in, I spotted her immediately, for the first time in months. I felt absolutely nothing. She looked different. Not physically, she was still the same. Kayla, same long chestnut brown hair, same delicate features, same perfectly curated outfit, but there was something missing. She looked tired. Hollow, like someone who had finally realized they had gambled away everything and lost. I walked over and sat down across from her without a word. She exhaled shakily, thanks for coming. I nodded once. What do you want? She winced, like the bluntness of my words. physically hurt. Albert, can we just talk? I tilted my head slightly. Talk about what exactly? Her fingers gripped the coffee cup, like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. She swallowed. Hard. I know I screwed up. I didn't respond. Just let her keep talking. I thought I wanted something different. I thought she hesitated, staring down at the table. I thought you'd always be there, that no matter what, you'd still love me. She blinked rapidly, trying to hold back tears, but you're not, are you? I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. No. Her breath hitched. Albert, please, she whispered, I miss you. I miss us. I just want another chance, and that's when I ended it for good. I let the silence stretch between us, heavy and absolute. I watched as she fidgeted, shifting uncomfortably under my gaze. Then slowly, deliberately, I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and turned the screen toward her. Her eyes locked onto the image me with someone else, a beautiful woman sitting beside me, laughing, her hand resting comfortably on my knee. Kayla's face crumpled. Oh, she whispered, like the air had been knocked out of her. Her fingers trembled around her coffee cup. You're with someone. I nodded. Yeah, she let out a shaky breath, blinking rapidly as if trying to hold herself together. Do you love her? I held her gaze, my expression unreadable. She never made me feel like I wasn't enough. Her bottom lip trembled. Albert, but I was all ready. Standing up, I pulled out a few bills from my wallet, dropped them on the table, and looked at her. One last time she sat there, frozen, her world crumbling around her as reality crashed down. She finally fully knew that she had lost me forever. I gave her the last word she would ever hear from me. You were right about one thing, Kayla. She lifted her head, her eyes pleading. I was never enough for someone like you. Then I walked out. I was done. I had walked out of that cafe fully ready to leave her behind, to let her sit with the wreckage of her own choices, but some people don't know how to fold when they're losing. Kayla wasn't just losing, she had already lost, and she couldn't handle it. A month passed. I didn't hear from her, and I assumed she had finally accepted reality. Maybe she had moved on, found some other poor fool to latch on to. Maybe she had learned something from all of this. I didn't care. Then one night my phone rang, unknown number. I almost ignored it. Almost. Something told me to answer. I swiped to accept and immediately regretted it. You bastard! Kayla's voice shrieked through the speaker, laced with rage and desperation. I didn't say a word, just held the phone to my ear, listening to her. Unravel. You ruined me. Do you hear me, Albert? You ruined my life. There was nothing rational about her tone. She wasn't crying. She wasn't sad. She was furious. Like I was the one who had walked out on her. Like I had cheated. Like I had betrayed her. And laughed in her face. It was almost pathetic. I have nothing, she continued, her voice breaking. You took everything from me. The house, the money. You turned people against me. Even my own friends won't talk to me anymore. I almost laughed at the audacity. Sounds rough, I said, my voice completely flat, that only set her off more. You think this is funny? She shrieked, her voice teetering on the edge of hysteria. I bet you're just loving this, huh? Sitting there with your perfect little life, while I have nothing. Her voice cracked on that last word, and that's when it hit me. Kayla wasn't mad because I had ruined her life. She was mad because I had moved on, because I was happy, because, for the first time since I walked away, she had finally accepted the brutal truth. She had destroyed herself, and I had simply let it happen. I let the silence stretch, let her sit in it, let the weight of everything settle on her shoulders. Then very calmly, I said the words that broke her completely. Kayla. She froze. I never said her name anymore. Not since the day I left her sitting in that cafe staring at a future that no longer included me. I didn't ruin your life. I said, my tone even detached a shaky inhale from the other end. You did. Her breath hitched. You threw away everything we built. I continued, my voice unwavering. You laughed in my face while you slept with another man in our bed, and now you're mad. Because I didn't sit around and wait for you to come crawling back. Silence. I could hear her breathing. Shallow, unsteady. I leaned back in my chair, exhaling slowly. I moved on, Kayla. I don't care about you anymore. Another pause, then I let out a short, amused breath, and honestly, I added, letting a smirk creep into my voice, it's hilarious watching you finally realize what you lost. The line went dead. I stared at the screen for a moment, then swiped to block the number, and just like that, Kayla was gone for good. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.